al 1 de Mayo.
Hello and welcome to the Nurse and Embiid podcast. I'm your host, Sid Murray Jr. Follow me on the Elon app at TheeSMD, that's TheeSCMD. Podcast is also up there at TheeSMD Podcast, all one word. If you're no longer down with the Elon app, trust me, I get it. You can also follow the podcast at the Zuckerberg app and the China app. For all content, audio, and visual, hit up TheeSMD.com. Subscribe or rate to the podcast. 5 stars, nothing less. Tell a friend. Podcast available on all major podcasting platforms. Hit up the YouTube channel. Subscriber base is growing. We're hitting some good benchmarks. If you want to tap into the video side of what we're doing, YouTube link is in the description. Musical production done by Mayfirst Music. Support him at soundcloud.com/MayfirstMusic. Hi, Philly. Hi, Philly. How you feeling? How you feeling? Down 2-0 to Knicks tape? Oh, man, the jokes are going to fly. The jokes are going to fly. You had it. You were oh so close to stealing one at the Mecca. You were oh so close. Yet you find yet another way to trick it off, because allegedly Joel is saying I should be up 2-0. I mean, I don't know what Joel, I don't know what drugs they're giving that man to be able to play, to be able to hobble up and down the court, but it's affecting his mental if he's out here saying that they should be up 2-0. Man, if they think they should be up 2-0, he been hanging around Jimmy too much. That's that Jimmy Butler bullshit of we're never down. We could be down 3-0, getting blown out in the fourth quarter, and Jimmy will still tell you, I think we can win. And that's the type of shit that Joel Embiid apparently is subscribing to. You should be subscribed to this YouTube channel, but that's another story for another day. So anyway, so look, I am hopping on here. Wanted to give y'all a quick episode because, you know, with the games last night, I think we're worthy of like doing a pod, right? So we have Philly going into the Mecca, trying to steal one. They have leads throughout. They have great performances from Tyrese Maxey, from a hobbled Joel Embiid, yet they find a way to trick it off. Then you have the Lake Show out there in the mile-high altitude in Denver, and they're trying to steal one. They're up 20 in the third quarter. They're up 4 with 4 and change to play, and they find a way to trick it off. We're get into both of those games, chop those down, break those down as only I know how to do. Let's jump right into the screen. We're going to get it right into this Sixer thing. This Sixer thing was amazing last night. If you're watching on YouTube, we're going to break this play down, the last, 32 seconds of the game, bit by bit, or at least the most important part of the last 32 seconds of this game, bit by bit. All right, so we're going to kill this audio because we don't want no smoke. So on the audio side, I will be giving you play-by-play as we break this down. So the score is 101-96. The Sixers are up 5 with 32 seconds to go. The Knicks have the ball. It's a frantic, chaotic into this game, but we need to dissect this because it was that chaotic last night. Let's go right into it. So DiVincenzo drives and kicks. He has Jalen Brunson. Jalen Brunson sidestep 3 on Maxey. It bounces, it goes in. Okay, so now the Knicks are now only down 2. 101-99, 27 seconds left to go in the game. Lowry takes the ball out. Now, they do not guard the inbounder because they want to trap whoever is trying to get the ball. Now, we all assume it's going to be Maxey. Let's see what Maxey does. So this could be a point where you could take a timeout, Nick Nurse. After a made basket, call a timeout, advance to rock, away we go. But you decide to inbound underneath the other team's basket. They're looking for Maxey. Maxey is now trapped. So we have 2 guys here. Who we have here? We have Hart and Brunson, who are being able here to trap Tyrese Maxey. Let's keep that going. He's still trapped. The seconds are counting, by the way, to inbound this ball. At any point between here, once you see, because if you see right here, he's the only one that's going to the ball. Embiid, hobbled as he is, he's not going to the ball. And you have Batum and Tobias Harris chilling down here at the bottom of the screen, not moving at all. So clearly only Maxey is trying to get this ball. You could call a timeout here if you want, Nick Nurse. And as you see here, what is he doing? He's got his arms crossed, okay? Let's continue it further. Now, Maxey does a brilliant thing here by spinning off the double team. Let me run that back. He spins off the double team because he's got Hart and Brunson trapping him, face guarding him. He spins off the double team to create space, spins away. So now Josh Hart is out the equation. Now it's just him and Brunson, and he's got a little bit of space, a little bit of breathing room to get the ball inbounded. Lowry, vet that he is, sees that space, inbounds the ball, and for whatever reason, Maxey can't squeeze the pill. Maxey can't squeeze the pill. The ball gets tapped up into the air. Now he's back to being double teamed. He's got Brunson and Josh Hart because Josh Hart now is able to recover and follow the play. And now Maxey again briefly gets control of the rock again, but now he's spinning and he's out of control, falls to the ground, I think trying to flop his way into getting the foul call there. Lucky he doesn't get called for traveling. Again, Nick Nurse, what is he doing? His arms are still crossed. He's looking at the ref, but his arms is crossed. So where's the timeout? Now he's calling for timeout. You see his arms there, but his team no longer has the ball. So Nick Nurse is calling for timeout while Josh Hart has the ball. That could be a technical, by the way, but we won't go there. So while Maxey has the ball here, no timeout from Nick Nurse. If you're watching this on YouTube, you're able to break this down and see it in full time and see the zoom ins that I'm doing here to show what Nick Nurse is doing. Just take my word for it with the audio audience. Nick Nurse has his hands at his sides. Maxey has the ball in his possession. Hand is at his side. Only when Maxey begins to lose the rock, because Josh Hart now is zeroing on him. Josh Hart is about to come in there and try to get the rock away. Now Nick Nurse has his hands up for a timeout. Nick Nurse has his hands up for a timeout, but he's just looking at the ref. Everyone else is looking at Maxey on the ground, trying to grovel with the ball as Josh Hart is trying to get a rip. Okay? We let the play advance. Maxey loses control of the rock, and now he's got Josh Hart and Brunson hovering over him because, again, Tobias Harris is chilling with OG Anunoby, and next to OG Anunoby, even further away, also looking to get a timeout, is Nicholas Batum. Batum is about 40 feet away trying to schedule a timeout when he should be over here trying to get the rock, or at least trying to guard, Dante DiVincenzo, who is wide open. But anyway, Knicks now have the rock. It is now 22 seconds as they're down 2. They're going to go for the 3. DiVincenzo is begging for the rock. Again, Nicholas Batum has not moved from this corner. Tobias Harris finally kind of realizes, oh, they have the ball again. I don't need to just stand here by OG Anunoby. Now DiVincenzo gets the 3, bricks the 3. Hartenstein comes in there and grabs the board because nobody boxes him out. Now, I could kill Joel Embiid on that, but again, we know Joel Embiid is hobbled. He can't move well laterally. He could give you a little something north and south, but that left to right, that east-west stuff is out of the equation. But Hartenstein gets a running start here from damn near the elbow and is able, with nobody boxing him out, because, again, Batum is still just standing around. Batum does next to nothing in this last 30-something seconds. Standing around, Hartenstein is able to get the board, okay? Tobias Harris and Kyle Lowry are fighting for a board. Joel Embiid can't get no lift off the ground, apparently, as he had 0 rebounds in the second half. 0 rebounds for a 7'2", 300-plus pound Cameroonian. No rebounds in the second half. All they needed was this one. They get this one rebound, game's over. And they still went at the Mecca. Unfortunately, he has no lift, copping pleas left and right. He can't get off the ground. That leaves Tobias Harris and Kyle Lowry to box out a footer in Isaiah Hartenstein. Hartenstein gets the board. He's able to get the ball out to OG Anunoby. Nicholas Batum is still just standing around. And that leaves DiVincenzo, who now gets a second chance at redemption to get the lead. Wide open. Now Batum finally decides to do something to try to close out. Water. Chaotic, chaotic, chaotic. What the hell were the Sixers trying to do? So not only do we have moments where, all right, Brunson hits that three. Now you're still up to 27 seconds left. Lowry's your inbounder. That's the person you want on the inbound. Maxey does the great thing here of spinning off of the trap to create the space. And then the inbound is okay. It's not the greatest inbound, but you didn't need a perfect inbound play because this is a chaotic scenario. You just need the ball to get inbounded. Maxey had enough room. Lowry gave him enough room with the pass. Maxey just couldn't squeeze the pill. Now, could you argue that he was getting hounded here on the catch? Sure, but this is playoff basketball. This is playoff basketball. You have a ref right there. If he saw something, he would have called something. If something was that egregious, but it's playoff basketball, you're not going to get that. You're not going to get that whistle. And now Maxey's out here stumbling, fumbling, bumbling with the rock with Josh Hart and Brunson. And again, no one comes to help him. Embiid will give him the cop. Will cop the pleas for Embiid. He can't move. Lowry is trying to give him an out. But again, you have Tobias Harris and Nicholas Batum sitting here while they are offense standing about 25, 30 feet away, doing absolutely nothing. But all Embiid wants to talk about in the post game is that they all were calling timeout. Now Embiid is calling timeout here. So in the post game, Embiid said we were all calling timeout, himself included. The problem is y'all waited too long because at this point, the ball is out of his hands. Nurse is calling timeout, and you have Embiid about to also pantomime timeout. But the problem is that now the ball is out of Maxey's hands, or is at worst a tie-up between Josh Hart and Tyrese Maxey. Y'all waited too late. Y'all thought Maxey had it. When he lost it, now y'all want to call a timeout. And Batum is also down here calling timeout. So 3 Sixers are calling timeout. The problem is y'all don't have the ball no more. Y'all calling for timeout after y'all didn't trick off the rock. That's not going to work. So the play goes as it is. And again, a lot of mistakes were made here. Could the inbounds pass from Lowry could have been better? Sure, but I think Maxey did his job to get out of the double team to give Lowry a chance. Lowry got the chance, recognized the chance, passed the rock. Maxey couldn't squeeze it. So you can kill Lowry if you want. I'm not. You could kill Lowry and say could have been a better inbound pass, but you also could say Maxey's got to squeeze that pill. And now he's in the corner, he's stumbling, fumbling, bumbling, and then he tries to fall to the ground with the rock to secure the possession. Little James Harden trick there. And he can't even get that off as, now Nick Nurse wants to take a timeout. Maxey's on the ground. Nurse is calling for a timeout. Batum is calling for a timeout. And Embiid is about to call a timeout. The problem is, no one is demonstrative about calling a timeout. And as much as I'm sure Philly fans are going to try to say that you shouldn't have to do that, we have all seen in all pro sports, coaches run up to officials to call a timeout or yell egregiously to signal for a timeout. Nobody on Philadelphia did that. They all just kind of casually were signaling timeout. That's not what you're trying to do there. That's not what you do there when you're trying to steal one at the Mecca with under 25 seconds to go. You can't do that. You're trying to advance the ball. You need to get the hell out of the Knicks end of the court by any means. So again, Nick Nurse could have called a timeout after the Brunson 3 goes in. He said in the post game that the inbounds play was taking too long. You know what teams normally do when the inbounds play is taking too long, Nick Nurse? They call timeout. They call timeout. They call timeout when the inbounds play is taking too long. So for whatever reason, the inbounds play is taking too long, and Nick Nurse, NBA champion head coach Nick Nurse, decides not to call a timeout there. That's problematic to me. So then you have Lowry. So again, did the play take too long? The play took too long because only Tyrese Maxey was going towards the basketball. As I showed y'all earlier, Tobias Harris and Nicholas Batum were chilling at the bottom of the court. They were damn near with Spike, not moving. So yes, the inbound play is going to take some time if there's only one person actively going towards the ball. How much faster do you want the play to go? But if that's the only call, then that's what's going to happen. So again, Nick Nurse could have called timeout there. Didn't do it. So now, the initial mistake, basket made, no timeout. It's taken 4 or 5 seconds to inbound the ball, no timeout. Now, Maxey spins off, creates the space to be able to get open. Lowry with a okay inbounds pass. Maxey can't squeeze the pill. All of these compounding mistakes are now allowing Knicks tape to breathe a breath of life. Win probability creeping up bit by bit as the Sixers keep making micro mistakes. It's not the big macro mistakes, it's the tiny micro mistakes that keep adding up that allows to the Knicks being able to get back into this game. I'll jump back into the screen. So this happens. You see Maxey there falling to the ground. Josh Hart, who was all over the place, did not sit 1 second in this game, played all 48 minutes, gets the ball to DiVincenzo, wide open three, Brick City, Hartenstein crashes the board by himself. Nobody boxes him out because Embiid didn't have not one rebound in the second half. Ball gets out to Anunoby. So Anunoby, who was down here in the bottom of the screen chilling with two dudes, now is out here by himself. Kicks it out to DiVincenzo for another three. Now Batum finally decides to do something. See how much ground he has to cover because he's been doing next to nothing besides standing down here in the corner of the court, damn near by Spike, casually asking for a timeout. Now he has to get on his horse and try to close out. Can't do it. Bucket in his face. Pandemonium in the Mecca. Pandemonium in the Mecca. What a time. What a time. So let's go ahead and jump into all the different angles, right? So we even have more angles of, Nick Nurse calling for timeout, but not getting it. Calling for timeout as Lowry has the ball. Apparently this is a frame by frame, a side by side, a split screen. And you see Lowry moving and Nick Nurse again with the timeout gesture, but towards whom? Towards whom? Because there's only one official on that side of the court. There's an official to camera left, but he's not doing that motion towards that ref. He's doing that motion towards the official underneath the basket by Lowry. That's not going to get a timeout called. Sorry, Nick Nurse. Complain all you want. Here's another angle where Maxey on the ground has the rock, and you see, so let's confirm, Maxey has the rock. And you see Nick Nurse here calling timeout. But here's the official all the way over here. All the way over here. You know what other coaches would have done? They would have ran from here all the way over here to get that foul, to get that timeout called. That's what other coaches would have done. They wouldn't have just stood there and expected to get a foul call for someone watching the play 20 feet away. Nick Nurse tries to explain in the postgame just what he was trying to do and how it was clear that he was calling timeout and all that good stuff. I'll let him spit it.
Well, the first thing is obviously they score. We take a look at getting it in quick. We don't get it in quick.
You don't get it in quick because you only had one person going towards the ball. So again, whether that's your fault, whether that's your player's fault, It was the Philadelphia 76ers' fault that the play was not inbounded. The ball was not inbounded quick.
I called timeout. Referee looked right at me, ignored me.
Again, we don't have footage of the ref ignoring him or looking right at him. We have the footage of that ref being 20 feet away. You know what I'm saying? We have the footage of the ref being 20 feet away and, Nurse scheduling timeout. But look how far this ref is. He's saying this guy was looking right at him and ignored him. Look at the distance between where he's at and where this ref is at. Come on, son.
Went into Tyrese. I called timeout again. Then the melee started. And, yeah, I guess I got to run out onto the floor or do something.
Yes,
to make sure
yes. You need to run out to the floor, Nick Nurse. Yes. It's not like you haven't done that before. You're telling me in your illustrious career with Philly, with Toronto, when you're an assistant, you've never or have never seen a coach run out on the floor to make sure a timeout is called?
I guess I got to run out onto the floor or do something to make sure.
Amazing.
Attention, but I needed a timeout there to advance it. Would have been good, but couldn't get it.
Did he say anything to you or an explanation why? Or?
There was no time to talk about it. Matt, you can ask him if you want to.
There's no time to talk about it because you were up 5 with 30-some seconds left to play and you tricked it off. There's no time. You and your team kept making micro mistakes that added into a huge mistake that allowed the back door to be open for Knicks tape to go in there and still win at the Mecca.
See if you saw me call timeout. I just watched the film just to make sure.
He just watched the film. Hopefully he saw the same film that we just broke down and he's able to see all the micro mistakes that we saw. So again, I think cop and pleas is one thing you can do, but I think unfortunately when you're trying to navigate, getting to the point where what's the reasoning for this loss? Why did we lose? What happened? And it's really simple. You tricked it off. There's no other thing about it. You tricked it off. You had a flu-like game from Tyrese Maxey. Was downgraded to doubtful. It was looking like they weren't even going to have Maxey. And then all of a sudden, Maxey goes out there and he is saving your season. 15 in the fourth quarter, I believe. Saving your season. And y'all had nothing left. You kept tricking it off. Trick it off. Up 5, 30 seconds left. You kept finding ways to trick it off. You get another Herculean performance from Joel Embiid. 34 and 10 with 6 dimes, by the way. Didn't shoot the greatest, but still gave you enough for a guy that, again, can't move laterally. Nasty work. Absolutely nasty. And, I think Embiid keeps saying all the right things. And, again, I think he channels a lot of Jimmy Butler. But the nonsense here of saying they should be up 2-0.
And try to turn this thing around.
We should be 2-0, so we good. We're gonna win this series.
We good. We gonna win this series. We should be 2-0, but you're not, Joel.
And try to turn this thing around.
We should be 2-0, so we good. We're gonna win this series. We gonna win this. We know what we gotta fix. We did a better job today, so we gonna fix it. But
can your knee be fixed? Like, we know what we got to fix. We going to fix it. We did a better job today. That is your knee. Is your knee going to be fixed by Thursday for game 3? That's the biggest thing that's holding y'all back is your knee. Because you can't box out Isaiah Hartenstein with a running start because you can't move left or right. That's the thing that needs to be fixed for y'all to win this series. If that gets fixed by Thursday, if they can shoot you up with enough stuff to make you feel like you can move left to right, then I agree with you. You can and should win this series. But unfortunately, that's not happening.
the better team, we're gonna keep fighting.
He said they're the better team?
But we're the better team.
Oof, yeah, he was hanging around Jimmy too much. He's been hanging around Jimmy too much. and your man's Joel is bugging. Joel is bugging, but this is what you're left with at that space. And I'll go ahead and play more Joel because you can't get enough of the Joel stuff here. You can't get enough because he's got his head down. This is the pain threshold is high, right? As much as we like to kill Joel for being out of shape, loafing, flopping, not being clutch, et cetera, I can't knock him for being out here playing. If this was a February game, he would not be playing. If this was a November game, he wouldn't be playing. But it's an April game. It's a playoff game, and he's playing. But copping pleas has to stop, and talking with a utopian atmosphere like your Jimmy Butler has to stop. We've seen Jimmy Butler carry his team and talk that type of crazy talk and get to an NBA Finals. You have yet to make it out the second round, Joel.
Do you think you guys had gotten a timeout in?
I mean, everybody on the floor was trying to call a timeout, myself included, Nico, coach on the sideline.
Yes, y'all were all trying to call timeouts, but none of y'all were trying to call timeout emphatically. That was the problem.
But they didn't give it to us, but, you know.
It's nothing to give. Take the timeout. Force the timeout. Run up to an official and damn near touch them and put it in their face. Pause. No diddy.
Forget about the timeout. There's a bunch of fouls. You know, that's, yeah. Like,
now we're talking about a bunch of fouls. And was Maxey fouled on the inbounds and stuff like that? Like, dog, Maxey squeezes the pill. None of that matters. He did a great job spinning off the double, creating the space. Lowry gives it to him, and he starts fumbling, stumbling, bumbling with the rock. And that situation, that's a loose ball. Sorry, Joel, that's a loose ball.
I say that's unacceptable.
Unacceptable. Look, man, I think, you know, we'll jump into the box score and try to break some of this stuff down. But I think the biggest number here is that second half, Joel Embiid had 0 rebounds. 0 rebounds. Unacceptable. That's what's really unacceptable, Joel. You're 7'2", 300+ pound Cameroonian, and against Isaiah Hartenstein, you can't box him out. You're boxing out Josh Hart, who was like a terror on the glass. So you can understand, okay, Joel can't move, so he can't go out there to try to stop Hartenstein from boxing out, from crashing from the elbow. Cool. He tries to box out Josh Hart. Nobody else puts a body on Isaiah Hartenstein. But the entire second half, he played 20 minutes, not 1 rebound. I ain't even talking not 1 defensive rebound, no offensive ones either, not 1 board in the second half. Yes, he gave you 18 points. Yes, all of this is like a tremendous effort in trying to fight through the fatigue and trying to fight through the pain and all of that stuff, but your team needed 1 rebound. And out of this entire roster, you're the one that's supposed to get it. And you couldn't get 1 in 20 minutes last night. Maxey with the flu game, 15 in the fourth quarter after going donut in the third. 15 in the fourth quarter. 35. So you get what you would expect. You get 35 from Maxey, 34 from Embiid. But you get nothing anywhere else. Tobias Harris continues to steal money. 10 points. Kyle Lowry gives you what you would expect from Kyle Lowry. 8 points, 6 boards, a couple of dimes, hit a couple of threes. Like, you're not expecting anything more from Kyle Lowry. Oubre is Oubre. That's mid. The whole thing of Batum standing there in the corner next to OG Anunoby for 15 seconds doesn't make any sense. Buddy Hield was supposed to be a guy that can stretch the floor and help things out. He's been irrelevant. And again, you're talking about a Knicks team that isn't even getting the top tier performance from their best player. The one thing that Philly has done is that they've made Jalen Brunson work extremely hard. 8 of 29 last night. So 28% from the floor, 1 of 6 from 3. But then you're giving up 21 and 15 to Josh Hart. And I understand the philosophy is we're going to make Josh Hart beat us. Well, let's look at the numbers through 2 games, because I think we might already have an answer for that strategy. Through 2 games, Josh Hart is giving you 22 and 14. Guess what, Nick Nurse? Josh Hart is beating you. 22 and 14 through 2 games, Josh Hart is beating you. You're daring him to beat you, he's beating you. 3-point percentage, 53%. Field goal percentage, 43%. Guess what, Nick Nurse? Josh Hart indeed is beating you. And then you have the McBrides chipping in, the DiVincenzo chipping in. They're not even getting a lot from OG yet. Like, so this is a troubling trend if you're Philly. Jalen Brunson, look at this offensive rating through 2 games. He has a 94 offensive rating and a 118 defensive rating. Those are bad numbers if you don't know the math. But then you go to Josh Hart, 133 offensive rating and a 111 defensive rating. So he has the best defensive rating through 2 games. So he's still impacting you in the ways that you would expect him to. But then he's even giving you the bonus because you're daring him to of killing you offensively. Nick Nurse better do something. Or no matter what Joel says in the post game, this shit could be a sweep. This shit right here could be a real sweep. And if you're looking at Joel Embiid, a 120 defensive rating for a guy that's one of the better defensive players in the league, this is just all his injury, right? Maxey 125. Unfortunately, that's not too far from his regular numbers. The defense has been the issue for the Sixers. As much as you look at Tobias Harris, 95 offensive rating. Kelly Oubre at 89 offensive rating. Batum barely cracks 100. Like, those aren't great either. Let's not play that game. But unfortunately, there are more issues here at play than just that. Knicks are up 2-0. And as much as Joel wants to say they should be up 2-0, but you're not. So now what? So we go from one team that was trying to fight for their lives and still went on the road to another team that was on the road fighting for their lives, trying to still win on the road. And that's the Lake Show. Lake Show take a L. As I mentioned in the open, they were up 20 in the 3rd quarter. They were up 4 with 4 and change to play, and they found a way to take that L. And Jamal Murray hits the big bucket late to get the job done at the crib. And this was another game that was not that great for the team that won the game. Like, the team that won the game, if we go down to the Denver numbers here, this is what you would expect, right? 27 from Jokic, 27, 20, and 10. Just another light triple dub for what's soon to be another MVP for Nikola Jokic. Aaron Gordon with 14, Jamal Murray with 20. Like, this is a team that, you know, when you're looking at what they try to do, they have a big 4. And I think that's something to where as we transition to the Lakers in here in a second, you need to navigate. I'll come off the screen here for a second. When you're trying to figure out how to build your roster, it's no longer about a big 2. You know, in the 90s, 80s and 90s, it was a big 1, a big 2. Transitioned into the 2000s, it came about the big 3. Now we're entering an era where you got to have that big 4. You got to have that big 4 because the Nuggets have a big 4. You have Nikola Jokic, Jamal Murray, Aaron Gordon, and Michael Porter Jr. They have a big 4. Looking at the Boston Celtics, they have a big 4. Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, Drew Holiday, Latvian world star, Kristaps Porzingis. They have a big 4. You can try with your dynamic duos. You could try with your Dame and Giannis. You can try. But when you run up against a big 4, when all you have is a big 2, it's a numbers game. And right now, if you're the Lakers and you're playing against the Nuggets, it's a numbers game. The Lakers have been in both of these games. Much like Joel Embiid is saying they could be up 2-0, you could paint a scenario where the Lakers could feel like they should be up 2-0. It still wouldn't be accurate, but you can fool yourself into thinking that. But the problem is they have LeBron and AD. They're big 2, and the other team's got 4 dudes. 4 against 2, it's a numbers game. So The Nuggets go out here, and if we want to go to the averages over 2 games, over the 2-game series so far, you pull those numbers up. You're looking at numbers where if you're talking about what the Nuggets were trying to do, Jokic through 2 games is averaging 40 minutes. I'll go back to the screen. He's averaging 40 minutes, 29.5 points, so 30 points. He's averaging 30, 16, and 9. 30, 16, and 9. And that's being guarded by LeBron, it's being guarded by AD. Like, he's had top-tier defenders, AD more superior than LeBron, but he's being guarded by top-tier defenders, 30, 16, and 9. Jamal Murray's giving you 21, 5, and 8 dimes for those who continuously seem to think Jamal Murray's not a point guard. 21, 5, and 8. Michael Porter, 21 and 9, shooting 53% from 3. And then you got Aaron Gordon doing the dirty work, 13 and 9, and he gives you 5 dimes. So it's the big 4 is doing what it's supposed to do. Even though you could argue this Nugget team isn't as good top to bottom, their 1 to 8 rotation isn't as good this year as opposed to last year because they don't have the likes of Jeff Green or Bruce Brown. But when you got that big 4 and that big 4 is doing what it's supposed to do, that's hard to beat. That's going to be hard to beat. It's hard to imagine another team because you could say the Timberwolves. Who else has a big 4? Like, you could get into like the Timberwolves. The Timberwolves have a big 4, but I mean, there's levels to the big 4, right? There's levels to the big 4 because you could say Ant-Man, Cat, Mike Conley, Rudy Gobert, but you're really starting to see that back half of that 4 is really kind of mid. Whereas when I'm talking Jokic, Murray, those are top guys at their position. Michael Porter Jr. is a top wing in this league. And then even Aaron Gordon is a guy that with all the intangibles is another guy that is an upper echelon guy in this league. You're not necessarily getting that when you get to like the Timberwolves big 4. OKC technically has a big 4, but they're extremely young and unproven. So when you're talking about how you do the roster construction, it is now about, I need 4 guys. When the Warriors thing was at its peak, when they had KD, they had 4 guys. Splash Brothers, the habitual nut hitter, and then KD. That was their apex. That was their peak. And even when they squeezed out that one last chip, you could say, all right, well, they had Steph, habitual nut hitter, A. Wiggins, and Clay. You need 4 dudes. And that's why they beat the Celtics, because the Celtics really just had a big 2 and change. They had 2 in the possible. With Brown and Tatum, and then they had Marcus Smart, but that wasn't really dependable. Al Horford was a guy that was like so that's the thing. You know, talking about Grant Williams, Derek White, like those guys weren't considered to be of that tier. Now you have Brown, Tatum, Porzingis, Drew Holiday. That's now a upper tier big 4. But looking at this from the Lakers' perspective, man, like, good luck. Like, LeBron was mad. They kind of tricked this off late. They got a good bounce back game from D'Angelo Russell, who was trash in game 1, was Brick City, and he hit 7 threes, which is 1 less than the Nuggets as a team in game 2. But, like, I don't know what else the Lakers are supposed to do here. You get a great game from Anthony Davis. He did get winded late. So offensively, you just didn't see the impact there. But in terms of overall, he was a menace for what he has to do defensively. It's amazing that he's able to hang in. Like, because you could clearly see the altitude was affecting him, and just the fatigue of having to bang against Jokic, pause, no diddy, all night was also affecting him. So it's a lot that goes into it. But 32 for AD, 32 and 11. 23 with 7 threes for D'Lo. And then you get Brown with 26 and 12. And you still take an L, and you take an L because you're getting nothing from Rui, nothing from Austin Reeves, Taurean Prince, the apple of Darvin Ham's eye, giving you nothing. So it's just, I mean, what can you expect? Rui Hachimura had a 40 offensive rating last night. A 40 offensive rating. That's based off 100 possessions, okay? a 40 offensive rating. I don't know what happened between last year and this year. Last year, he was highly effective. He got that Phil Handy tutelage, one of the best offensive minds in this game. But between last year and this year, I don't know what the hell has happened for Rui to fall off the cliff here, because he does not look like the dude last year that looked like, oh, well, he might not be a 3 in a big 3, but he could be a 4th in a big 4. The problem is the Lakers can't find that 3rd. They've been hinting, they've been trying, like they're trying to make D'Angelo Russell and Rui Hachimura their 3 and their 4, and that's not going to work. That's not going to work. D'Lo will be a free agent. Most likely he'll be gone. It'll be foolish, in my opinion, for them to bring him back. But they need to find a way, if they're going to run this thing back, which by all signs it appears LeBron's going to run this thing back as we get into some of the stuff in the post game here. But let me jump to the greatness of what Jamal Murray was able to do last night. Let me go ahead and jump into this, because it was special what he was able to do. So again, Lakers are going back and forth. High screen and roll. Okay, high screen and roll between Jokic and Murray. And this is what they want, because they want to switch. They actually want Murray on Anthony Davis. You want a small on a big, okay? So they get the switch, auto switch. Now, LeBron could have came over here to help, because Jokic was going to try to flash to the paint there, but then he saw what Murray was trying to do. Murray fades away. The whole point is, I'm going to get to my spot. I'm going to get to my spot. And he's done this. He was doing this to AD during the game. So nothing Anthony Davis saw here was new. Murray didn't pull anything out of his bag that was never seen before. So Anthony Davis makes sure to close the gap, close out the airspace so he can't just pull up. So Murray wants to get to that baseline. He does enough to initiate the drive, collapses. Anthony Davis has to sag a little bit to give himself room to try to block the shot. That allows Murray to stop on a dime, because he's at the spot now. He's at the spot he wants to get to. Rise and fire. The key is to get it over the outstretched arm of Anthony Davis. He does in his Cash Money. It's not as chaotic as the Knicks Sixers, but just that last breakdown, simple high screen and roll. Anthony Davis has to play the top, close out the airspace. Murray wants to get to his spot. He gets to his spot. Now he has to fade to get the shot over AD, and he hits the shot. Nothing you could do there. Nothing Anthony Davis could have done there better defensively. Nothing more he could have done. Now, LeBron is going to argue in the post-game sound I have coming up that this here should have been an and one. That D'Angelo Russell was getting hit in the face on numerous drives to the rim. But he was really hot about this one. Gordon challenges. I don't see the hit. Maybe Murray got him on the drive. Let's see, does Murray get him on the drive? He definitely takes a swipe there. Murray takes a swipe there. And then Gordon, I don't see nothing from Gordon there. So again, LeBron, this was also a key play. Porter Jr., the Lakers were up 3. This tied up the game. Loose ball type of situation. Aaron Gordon and Austin Reeves go for the rock. Gordon wins. Reeves falls out of bounds. A wild, you could argue if, now was Aaron Gordon out of bounds? Looks like the toe was in bounds. Tosses it out. Rui tries to get a deflection. D'Lo runs in from the side, tries to get the block. Cash Money. Doesn't matter. So, anyway, LeBron had a lot to say in the post game. Let's go ahead and tap in with what LeBron was saying to the folks.
I don't understand what's going on in the replay center, to be honest.
I'm sure someone that's as smart as LeBron that does podcasts breaking down basketball with JJ Redick to run the numbers up as new media, I'm sure he's fully aware what the replay center does, but we digress.
I've said it. I think I said it this year or last year, or whatever. D'Lo clearly gets hit in the face on a drive. What the fuck do we have a replay center if it's going to go? It doesn't make sense to me.
So he wants a foul called when D'Lo gets hit. I mean, the point of the replay center is not to stop play, not to stop action while it's happening and say, hey, that should have been a foul. That's not the point of the replay center. I'm sure LeBron knows that, but he's got to say something in the postgame.
Makes no sense to me. It bothers me. Sorry I didn't answer your question, but that shit is like...
It bothers him. Is he going to try to run this up the food chain? We know he has Silver on speed dial. We know he has numerous owners on speed dial. He's going to try to run this up the food chain and try to get an appeal. Because apparently the Sixers are going to try to appeal what happened last night to them. Is this LeBron trying to send salvos or missives to the front office? Like, yo, y'all better do y'all job and like put in an appeal.
And then I just saw what happened with the Sixers Knicks game too. What are we doing?
So now LeBron wants to now talk about the Philly game and says that maybe the replay center should have stepped in there as well. Because LeBron knows all, because he has a podcast with JJ Redick with him explaining that he knows all. So one angry Laker walking away, slamming the mic down, to another angry Laker in his press game presser, slamming the mic down.
What happened on that last play?
Jamal Murray made a shot.
So people are going to kill Anthony Davis for this. I think this was just a horrible question. The interviewer is trying to get Anthony Davis's mindset of that last play. And he hit him with such a generic, simple, easy to answer question that for someone who is frustrated, I just played 39 minutes against a guy that's unguardable. And I was able to get numbers and help carry my team to keep the game close for us to get a dub. But we had a lead up late and we still couldn't close it out. I got another. This is the second postseason in a row where I've had a Denver buzzer beater in my eye. No Diddy. And you want to ask me
what happened on that last play?
I don't want to hear that. I don't want to be asked that question. There's better ways to ask that question. Let's find a better way to ask that question. What were you looking for from Jamal Murray on that possession? What were you trying to guard against on that possession? What was your mindset entering that last possession? What's the philosophy you tried to, adhere to in that last possession against Jamal Murray? But instead, all we got was...
What happened on that last play?
Jamal Murray made a shot.
I don't blame AD. Jamal Murray made a shot. Fuck out my face. I don't blame AD at all on that. Bad question, gets a bad answer, and move the hell on. So, that was a lot to break down in what I think is a short amount of time. But I think both of these series are pretty much over. Both those road teams had a chance to still win and even up these series and make this series something we want to pay attention to. But I think after what we saw last night, I think we can all kind of safely assume that it's probably curtains for both of these teams. And I mean, if you're Denver's clearly the better team over the Lakers, despite the heights of what Anthony Davis and LeBron could do. But I think you could genuinely make a case that Philadelphia, talent-wise, is better than the Knicks. Unfortunately, that doesn't really matter in this playoff. Like, the Knicks are getting mid performances or less than efficient performances from Jalen Brunson, and they're still up 2-0. The Sixers are daring Josh Hart to beat them, and he has beat them 2 games in a row. So now, if you're Nick Nurse, what's the adjustment to the adjustment? All these series are adjustments. The Knicks came out and they took game 1, and Josh Hart beat them. The adjustment was for the Sixers was to run that back and dare him to beat us again. He's now beat you 2 games in a row. Are you going to dare him to make it 3? Brunson's going to get off in one of these games. I mean, he's taken he took 29 shots last night. How many shots that boy? That dude, I mean, I'll say this about Brunson. He's going to get his shots up. He's going to get his shots up. How many shots he got up last night? 29 shots. So, I mean, the shots are going to go up. This is horrible efficiency. 8 of 29, 28%, 1 of 6 from 3, 17%. Like, yeah, he's going to get his shots up. And where are these shots coming from? Do we dare look at the Brunson shot chart? How do we get to the, oh yeah, I know how to get to the shot chart. Where is that at? Haven't done that so far. Let's do our first shot chart of the playoffs. Let's do Knicks. Let's do Brunson. Ooh, good Lord, look at all this red. Look at all this red for Jalen Brunson. All this red. So look at where these shots are. So he's getting money on the left side. He's only getting buckets dropping to the rim because there's so much attention being paid to him everywhere else. He's getting to the paint. He's getting to his spots. He's just not hitting these. And he's bricking from the outside. Now, let's do game 1. Where was his shots in game 1? Shot chart. We'll do this and then we'll wrap up. Players, Brunson. Oh my God, same areas. Same areas. So he just hasn't been hitting his shots. And the Sixers are obviously paying a lot of attention. They're throwing a lot of wings at him to disrupt his shots, to be physical, to bump him, to all of that stuff. But he's really just locking in on his spots. This is damn near identical to game 2. So nothing's really being done differently with the Sixers. So in terms of Joel making, saying we've made adjustments, I don't see them. The only adjustment is we are daring Josh Hart to beat us, and 2 games in a row, he has beat us. You know what it is. Appreciate y'all listening. Just wanted to jump in real quick, give y'all a recap because the action was crazy last night and I knew that was pod worthy. I'm going to be giving y'all pods frequently, but shorter duration. So there will be an adjustment here as we try to find a way to best be able to provide content. Schedule's kind of wacky all over the place, especially this time of the year with so many hockey games, basketball games, college games, college baseball for those who are in the know. So like it's a lot of stuff going on. So don't have a lot of time to give y'all full length long pods at the current moment. So we're going to try to switch it up, shorter, more, comprehensible, digestible, all that type of good shit. So appreciate those who always tap in, whether it's the video side or the audio side. Appreciate the feedback as always. Numbers are growing on all platforms. So always appreciative of all of you tapping in. For the Sandy Podcast, I'm Sandy Dusemay Jr.